Hello everyone, and especially to the Peace of Mind Facebook group where I'm doing this live, and maybe some of you will be joining in shortly. So yesterday I posted a question to the group which got tons and tons of comments, which was really cool and really interesting and helpful to me, because sometimes I forget where we're all at in this group. And I've done videos in the past that explain certain things, but I forget there's always new people in the group, and not everyone's read my book and things like that, so not everybody knows the basic things that we talk about in the group. And really, without certain basic foundation of knowledge and insight, the rest of what I talk about in the group is not going to make a whole lot of sense until you have a certain background or understanding under your belt. And so yesterday I asked the question, do you agree that nothing, no person, place, thing, or situation can cause you to feel a particular way? And the results were interesting. Some people who've had this understanding under their belts for a few years and stuff were like, yes, I definitely agree. Other people were just like, no. Some people were talking about stuff that I wasn't asking, which is fine. I tried to get people to be more specific. I really just wanted to hear an answer to that question. And then if people said no, I was curious as to why they would say no, what they believed instead. And I did ask some people to provide further explanation. So that's a great thread in the group. If you haven't seen it yet, go look for it. If you are watching this from YouTube or something, please join the Facebook group. I will try and remember to post a link when this goes up on YouTube. So the answer to the question, in my mind, is yes. 100% nothing outside of us, no person, no place, no thing, no situation, nothing that's happening in the outside world actually has any power to cause us to feel anxious, sad, mad, happy, joyful, any emotion that you can imagine. They don't have that power. And that's, I've got a million videos that talk about that. And it's really the basis for this understanding. Like, it's, and I'm not saying that it's obvious or that everyone would be like, oh yeah, of course that's true. Like, no, I didn't know that. I had no idea about that until 4.5 years ago, when I first heard about it, and then sought evidence of, probably 4 years ago, when I really believed it and got evidence for it in my own life, because it's completely opposite of what we've been led to believe. Like, there's no reason why we would believe. Of course people cause us to feel mad or sad or happy. That seems obvious, and yet it's not. And that's what's so interesting. And so, to describe that is the Peep. Let's just talk about a person, let's say, because that's a easy, that one's sort of easy to see. It really feels like, let's say, our spouse, or our partner can make us feel really happy, right? Like, that's why we wanted to be with them in the first place, because it feels like when we're with them, we're so happy. And that's why a lot of times people do get into relationships, because it seems like that other person is what's creating the feelings of happiness in them. And yet, that same person, usually after a certain period of time together, can also seem to be the one that makes us feel the worst in life at times. Makes us seems to make us anxious, seems to make us mad, seems to make us sad, along with still seeming to make us happy. And wow, I mean, that's giving other people a whole lot of credit that they don't actually deserve or should get, because it's just not how it works. Like there's no magical power in a person that can, they can't just like go, okay, now I will make you sad, poof, right? Like wouldn't that be cool if we could do that to people? And it sometimes does look like that way, but it's just not true. And I don't want you to just believe me about that. But there's easy ways to look for evidence of this kind of thing. And I've talked about this before, and I have some blog posts. I posted one blog post in the thread for people to look at too. Some of you may have seen it before. I think it's called Things Aren't Always As They Seem. And it explained, I'll try to remember to post a link to that too under the video, but just as a quick one, just to show you the kind of evidence to seek, that's where we think stuff's coming from the outside world, our feelings and stuff, when it's actually our own made-up thoughts and emotions. It's just coming from thought. That's what's making us feel a certain way. So our minds are tricked all the time by this. Like the time when I thought I needed new brakes in my car. They were seeming to feel like they weren't working well, and I had, they hadn't been changed in a long time, and so I just kind of, I don't know, they just didn't feel like they were working well. So I was being really careful, and before I had a chance to get them looked at, and I was stopping, well before I needed to, and that kind of thing. And then I brought them to the mechanic. I brought the car to the mechanic, and they looked it over, and the guy's like, "Oh no, your brakes are actually fine. The pads are fine. Everything's cool. You don't need to do anything right now with it. It's not a problem." And lo and behold, when I took the car home, the brakes felt fine, just like they said. And yet they didn't do anything to them. They didn't change them. So how were they feeling bad before to me, and then feeling fine afterwards when nothing had changed? What had changed was only in my mind, my thoughts. I had a belief that there was something wrong with my brakes, and so that was my reality at that moment. And then I had the belief that there was nothing wrong with my brakes, and that became my new reality. Nothing changed except my mind. And it's the same with people. We can be mad at somebody, and in a second, our mind can change, and we can suddenly see them with compassion. And the person doesn't change. The person isn't doing anything different. The person can still be acting like a crazy person, or whatever it might be that you're mad about, or we're mad about, or I'm mad about. And I can see them differently. Not that I'm trying to. Sometimes I do try to, but that doesn't usually work. But all of a sudden, I get new thought. New thought comes to my mind where I suddenly see the situation differently. And I'm like, oh, poof. All the madness goes away. And then I might feel love, or I might feel sorry, or I might feel something else. Whatever it is. But so the point of that is, was that person causing me to feel mad? If they were, then how did it just change when they didn't do anything to change? They didn't do blah, now you shall be happy with me. That would be so cool if we could do that, or had like a remote control, like a channel changer thing that we could, make the people be the way we wanted to, like puppets. But see, we're not puppets. We're not under the control of other people. And this is so good. Good news. Really good news, guys, because whether we know it, whether you see this or not, it doesn't matter. This is how it works. And the good news is that this means we're not victims to other people, to their moods, right? We're not victim to their moods. Like, I know it feels like it. If some people in the group posted about, well, when my husband comes home in a bad mood, I get anxious. That makes me anxious, they think. But it's impossible. It doesn't make you anxious. It's a habit now that you've learned. So it happens. It's a conditioned behavior that happens. But at any moment, when you know that it's can't actually be coming from them, and what that means is you must be seeing the world incorrectly. When we think that our feelings are coming from another person or anything else besides our own thoughts, then we are living in a misunderstanding, because the world doesn't work that way. And that's why I say it's key to really get this under your belt, to really to know for certain, even though you don't see it all the time. And believe me, I don't see it all the time. And somebody posted in the thing just in the chat thing just a bit before I got on that oh, I didn't realize, I thought that when you knew this you would always see it that way. No, 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 no. No. Most of the day is outside in for me, and for I would dare say most people who even have this understanding, Sid Banks, Dick and Bettinger, anybody. The world still looks outside in as it's supposed to. That's its job. That's the world's job, to look outside in. That's what our brain is supposed to, like, turn it all around backwards, outside in instead of inside out. Because that's what gives us this experience that we have of life, or life wouldn't have the richness and if we were seeing it constantly inside out as opposed to outside in. So you're not going to see it that way all the time, but you can still know it. And that's all I'm saying to you guys, is to find the evidence, look for things like your breaks, look for things where your mind changed and nothing else changed, but your mind changed. Look for that evidence always in everything that happens to you all the time, during the day, every minute of the day. You will find there's like millions of things. I don't even look for them anymore because it's just like so common. So that's why I keep using old examples, because I forget about the new ones that are constantly happening all day long, hundreds of times a day, where it looks outside in and then I can suddenly see it inside out. And that's how I know with 100% certainty where my feelings are really coming from, not the stuff out there. And so get that first, like really believe it. Even if you don't believe it, pretend you believe it for a little while, because that might help you as well. But if you can get to that point where you've sought enough evidence that you know it, even though you don't see it, you know it, that's when things will change for you, because that's when you will be in. When you're in a misunderstanding, you'll be able to be like, well, I know it can't be coming from them. And so I don't see it now, but that means I'm seeing the earth flat as opposed to round, even though I know it's round. And so that alone has the ability, and I said this in my last video, has the ability to take a lot of thought off your mind. I'm not telling you to change your thoughts, and I know you're going to blame yourself because it's up, but you don't have to do any of that. Watch the last video that I did where I talk about that, where by having this in your bones, by knowing 100% that this is true, that thought will disappear once you know this. Not always, but it has the ability to disappear, because you can snap out of it like that when you're like, oh my God, I thought that person was causing me to feel mad. How can, but that's impossible. Like, that's ridiculous. You like suddenly see that's impossible. A person can't make me feel that way. It's impossible. Boy, so I was passionate about that one. That whole thing, this whole video. So I'm going to leave you with that. I've probably been talking pretty long here. I hope this makes sense. If you still have questions, you can post them under this video. or in the other thread as well. But just look for evidence of this, guys, and your life will change. Catch you next time. Bye.